Welcome to the #1 source for information, news, and opinion on your Columbus Blue Jackets. This is CBJin30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. You can also find the audio version on the CBJ Radio SoundCloud page, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Google Play Music, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Now here's your host, Bob McElligott.
Well, yesterday was another tough day for the Blue Jackets, and unfortunately, because they lost to the Tampa Bay Lightning by the final score of 2-1, it could be just one more day before the Blue Jackets' long season that they waited to resume after 4.5 months because of a pandemic. That season could come to an end on Wednesday, early in the afternoon. Welcome to CBJin30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Well, the Blue Jackets really disappointed. Game 4 was in many ways the same as Game 3. And it was the same when it came down to the Blue Jackets falling behind after they had a chance to get off to an early lead. As a matter of fact, it looked like they had the early lead. Let's just go through this game recap. It's being brought to you by Stanley Steamer. Get back to clean. The Blue Jackets had what looked to be the early goal in the game when Oliver Bjorkstrand scored less than 2 minutes into the first period. And then the review came into play, and upon further review, the Blue Jackets were offside. Alexander Texier was ahead of the play. Pierre-Luc Dubois hesitated at the blue line. I'm not sure why he hesitated. I'm not sure why Texier, looking at the play, having it in full view, continued to go forward and got over the line. But whatever the case, it resulted in the Blue Jackets having a goal taken off the board. And that would prove to be a harbinger of what was going to happen in the game. You know what the harbinger means? That was kind of look into the future, right? It was like you could feel it coming. Well, anyway, so the Blue Jackets don't get that goal, but they're okay. They're going with Tampa at 0-0 at the end of one. They're doing some good things. And all of a sudden, in the first 30 seconds of the second period, Barclay Goodrow gets a goal. And I'm going to say this. If you said to me, all right, I've got $100, and I'm going to give it to you if you can pick the first Tampa Bay scorer of the game, I am not winning that $100 betting on Barclay Goodrow. I'm just not. Maybe I should, because he's been on the ice a lot in this series. He and Blake Coleman and Yanni Gourde, they start every period. So maybe I should put my bets there. But I wouldn't have. Out of spite, I wouldn't have. I would have taken Braden Point. I would have taken Nikita Kucherov. Well, maybe I wouldn't take Nikita Kucherov because to me, he looks uninterested in many ways. Either he's uninterested or the Blue Jackets are making him look uninterested. One of the two. I'm not sure which way it goes. But anyway, I digress. I wouldn't have picked Barclay Goodrow. But he gets a shot that is fluttering. It actually hits Jonas Korpisalo in the blocker pad. Comes off the pad, hits the inside of the post, and goes in. Pretty lucky. Okay. Got to be lucky to be good, as the saying goes. Okay, I get it. So it's 1-0. And then a short period of time later, the Blue Jackets make a mistake in their own end. They get a puck. They intercept a centering feed, and it looks great. Hey, that's the right play. They try to clear the zone. They give it away. That's the wrong play because Yanni Gourde was left standing in front of the net with nobody covering him. And he tips in a shot taken by the defenseman, Kevin Shattenkirk. And all of a sudden, it's a 2-0 game. Now, give the Blue Jackets credit. They didn't fold. They didn't take their puck and go home. They kept playing. And they got in a 4-on-4 situation, and Pierre-Luc Dubois throws a puck toward the net. Cam Atkinson is crashing across from the bottom of the right wing circle to the top of the crease. Some contact with the goalie, but the puck goes in. I was a little bit concerned it might get challenged, and if it did get challenged, that it might be upheld. However, John Cooper, the head coach of the Lightning, didn't challenge it. Why? Well, I would say it's a one-goal game. And if you're wrong, not only does the goal count, but you also give up a power play, which would be a 4-on-3. I don't think the Lightning had any stomach for that. And they were feeling okay. They were still in the lead. And it is a lead that they would lock down and they would ride out for the rest of the game, just like they did their 3-2 lead on Saturday. And even though you've got to be impressed with the way that Tampa is playing that defensive style and locking it down and all of that, that doesn't make it any less frustrating if you're on the side of the Blue Jackets. Once again, we saw them struggle to get out of their own zone. Once again, we saw them struggle to connect with passes. Once again, getting a goal in the third period, especially late in the third period, was almost unthinkable. And when they did get a chance and pulled the goalie to go 6-on-5 and they got some pressure, then they made a mistake and got caught with too many men on the ice. Frustrating. No doubt, frustrating. But this is the hand that they have been dealt. This is the hand they played, because what they did was just not good enough in that game. Sad but true. It just wasn't good enough. So now their backs are firmly against the wall. Now they cannot lose. Now they have got to win 3 in a row if they have any hope of advancing into the next round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is a tall order. But that does not make it impossible. That does not make it impossible at all, especially not for a team that has been trained, mentally trained, to treat everything as one game at a time. Today's game doesn't matter tomorrow. Yesterday's game doesn't matter today. It's all about the challenge you're facing that day. And believe me, the Blue Jackets have plenty of challenges. Not only are they facing elimination, but once again, they have to come back in less than 48 hours. A team that has played more hockey than anybody left in this tournament. They're being forced to come back in less than 48 hours and play again. Not complaining about that. Not now. We'll wait and see how all of this plays out. I have some thoughts on that. I have some opinions on that. I'm going to hold them to myself because John Tortorella would not want an excuse for his team. The players would not want an excuse for themselves. And I'm not going to give an excuse. Not going to give an excuse. Even if I were to give what's on my mind, it's not an excuse, but it could be perceived that way. So I will wait. Not only will I wait, but I will wait in hope that the words never have to come out of my mouth. And the way they wouldn't come out of my mouth is if the Blue Jackets can do what seems to be the unthinkable and win 3 games in a row. Not only force, 6th game and the 7th game, but move on. But let's think about this. Right now, 3 in a row looks to be a challenge. But what would you have said last year going into the first round if I told you the Blue Jackets will win 4 in a row over the Lightning? You would have thought I was nuts. So don't count it out. There is still hockey to be played, and as long as the heart is still beating, there is a chance for life. And that is the way the Blue Jackets have to look at this. All right, let's get into the full breakdown of what happened in this game. Player reaction, coach reaction, all of that. But first, right after the game yesterday, I sat down with Blue Jackets color analyst Jody Shelley from Fox Sports Ohio, and here's the way he broke down that game.
It's another good start in this game for the Blue Jackets today. They're all over Tampa. In fact, it looked like they had the first goal of the game. It got waved off because of an offside call. And then, after that, Tampa gets those 2 quick ones in the second period. The Blue Jackets cut it down to 1, but Tampa, again, is able to hold them off. And in the third period, when they needed to get out of their own zone, the Lightning made that a very difficult thing for them to do again.
I thought it was mental mistakes by the Columbus Blue Jackets. The 2 goals to start the second period they were bounces, but they were also missed assignments. How often do you see a Tampa Bay Lightning player standing in front, any player, standing in front of a Blue Jackets netminder all by himself? Tampa took advantage of that. Evenly played game. I love the way the Blue Jackets stormed out in this one and took charge. They came out to play. It seemed that way, but not enough players were ready to play. Little plays with the puck, plays of urgency, plays in time, arrive early, didn't happen all afternoon long here for the Blue Jackets, and they slipped. And they needed to get this win here just to even things up with Tampa. Now they're in a desperate and dire situation. They can do this, but they've got to start and play the same way they did in the first part of the game. Mental errors, including too many men with the goaltender pulled. It just showed exactly a few things today that just weren't in sync, and it's unfortunate because I thought it was their best start of the series, to start the first 10 minutes in the first period. Unfortunately, Tampa gets a couple bounces, and the Blue Jackets can only get one goal. You have to score more than one goal against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The power play needs to come alive. Some nice passing, some nice opportunities, but not near enough here today in a game where you want and you've got to be more desperate than ever before, and now they have no choice. It's all in for Game 5.
Oliver Bjorkstrand, at one point in this game, I said, if he doesn't have a big game when this is all said and done, I'll be surprised, because in the first period, he looked like he was going today. This looked like it was going to be one of his games. What did the Lightning do to take him out of that?
I'm not sure if they leaned on him. I'm not sure if he fought to get in the tough areas. You know, there's something about Oliver where he can battle and stick with it and find that puck to be like Velcro on him sometimes. Whether it's a bump back to him or whether it's a play he creates himself off the wall, he's not getting all of that in the battle, I don't think. And maybe it's the big D. Maybe it's the line he's playing against. I don't know. But he didn't seem freed up to get those big grade A opportunities that he likes. Think about the power play goal he got. He was all by himself standing there. It's traffic. It's heavy traffic. He's got to fight through that traffic to get anything he wants to get.
And, you know, when I talked about how they are having such struggles getting out of their own zone, especially late in the game, Tampa, give them credit. Last year, they didn't smother the Blue Jackets like that. And they have a different makeup, and I think that Gaudreau, Coleman, and Yanni Gourde line, we've seen them a lot, and they have been very effective. Gaudreau winds up with a goal and an assist here in this game today. But what do they do? What are they taking away from the Blue Jackets? It's like it's such a struggle just to get beyond their own blue line when you get down to like 8 minutes in the game, and it's just a one-goal game. It feels like it's about 3.
They stay below the puck. They skate. They are on it in full attack. They're the best line in this series, no question. Not just because they scored 2 goals today. They're hard to play against, and they're overmatching. That line starts every game for a reason. They don't care who they play against. Those guys are not journeymen. Coleman's got 21 goals on the season, 0 of those with Tampa. But he can put the puck in the net, but he's bought into his role with Gaudreau, who at the time they picked him up, he was the best player for the San Jose Sharks at the time. So, listen, that's a talented third line. You call him a third line because you think of Kucherov and Point on the top line, you know, and that line and that skill that team has some skill up ahead of them. But they're effective. They're a playoff. They're built for the playoffs. They work hard. They outwork anybody. They skate and hunt pucks down, and they get in the way. So, hey, listen, I think the Blue Jackets played well enough to win this game. They just didn't take advantage or get it done. And for me, not getting it done at this point in this juncture of the season is not good enough.
You mentioned Kucherov. The Blue Jackets have done a really nice job of keeping him in check. But, again, they've got that support of other lines. But that top line, I know Braden Point had a 2-goal game in this series. But, you know, for the most part, they've done a fairly decent job of keeping those guys quiet.
Yeah, 1 shot, -1. Exactly what you want to do to Braden Point. That's what I mean. They've played well enough defensively. I thought Zach Werenski came to make a difference today. He was all over the ice trying to generate. It put so much pressure on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Their D are big, and if you can grind them and make them look slow, they play slow, and the Blue Jackets didn't do enough of that. It wasn't enough 5 guys together on pucks, and Tampa got the puck out too easy, and you're right. And I saw moments where the Blue Jackets, like in that first period, they hemmed them in. They worked that fourth line. It was like they went right after them, but Tampa pushed back, and the Blue Jackets, there was times where that puck was bouncing away, just close, but not good enough.
And the last thing for you here is we talk about your best players needing to be your best players, or maybe in this case, your biggest names needing to be your biggest names. You know, Nick Foligno was around the puck today. You know, sometimes it looked like he had some would have a great chance, and it didn't materialize for him. And again, Boone Jenner, I know he plays so good defensively in the middle of the ice and all that stuff, but you know, at some point, as you said, you only have 1 goal. But at some point, some of those guys that have scored a lot of goals in the history of this franchise, you want to see them chip in.
Yeah, they got to move their feet. I think there was a couple times where a couple guys were late on pucks on those 2 goals that happened. Boone Jenner goes behind the net. Nick Foligno late on the rival there trying to help out. Just moving your feet. And those guys are great guys. They know what they need to do. They want to try and be better. They want to help every shift. But tonight they were on for both goals, and it was unfortunate. I thought they were going to answer the bell and get some chances. I don't remember any offensive opportunities when that line was together out there 5-on-5.
So Boone Jenner and Nick Foligno, they were on the ice for the 2 goals against. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying, as veteran players, this time of year, this type of a situation, they need more out of those players. They need more. They're not the only players. Don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm picking out 2 guys and saying, if just you 2 guys could play better. No, it's not just them. There are others. But they do rise to the front because They are two of the longer tenured guys here. One's the captain, and the other one has been here his entire career. We've watched him grow up right in front of our eyes. They just need more from those players. Cam Atkinson returned to the lineup yesterday. Remember, Cam played in the first game, didn't have the speed to separate from Victor Hedman. We speculated that he was not 100% healthy. And as if to just prove that, in game 2, he was a scratch. Game 3, he was a scratch. He returned to game 4, and he had the only goal for the Blue Jackets, crashing the net, as I said earlier. That's how he got it done. So he had some good chances. He buried one. Pierre-Luc Dubois set him up on the goal. I thought Pierre-Luc had some good shifts in the game. Good, not great. You know, he had one situation where he came in and he didn't get the puck on net in a 2-on-1 situation. Okay, all right. You know, you're expecting a lot when you just need one goal. And you just, there are certain situations that come about and you're like, oh, here it is. And when it doesn't develop, you're disappointed, okay? But anyway, he had some good shifts, and he had some chances. And like I said, he did set up the lone goal of the game. So after the game, Cam Atkinson and Pierre-Luc Dubois both talked with the media.
Hey, Cam. You got back in there today. Obviously, looked pretty good. You know, just is this one of those games that you just kind of have to chalk up to, I guess, hockey? I mean, it felt like you outplayed them today.
Yeah, it was good to be back. Pretty frustrating not to play the last couple games. But yeah, I thought we did some pretty good things. You can see the pucks bouncing like crazy on a lot of plays. Overall, I thought we played a pretty solid game. That's just one of those things that, you know, just kind of turn the page, look what we did, look at the positives, and be ready to go in a couple days, a do or die game.
Next question, Neil McHale.
Hey, question here is for Cam. Cam, you know, a year ago, you guys had obviously a series that's been well covered, and you guys, beating Tampa. You know, you went 4 straight in that game. How confident is the group here that you guys can do that again? And also the fact that you guys have been playing in elimination games since the qualifiers, just to put yourself in this kind of situation.
Yeah, we're a resilient group, so, you know, I keep saying all along, you're never out of the fight. I mean, we have another opportunity in a couple days. We play like we did tonight. I think we're going to have success. We have to, you know, get more to the blue, more in front of their goalie, make it harder for him to see the puck, because he'll obviously stop it if he does. You can see when we did score, you know, just going hard to the blue, and good things happen. So I thought we started taking over the second half of that game, and like I said, look at the positives and be ready to rock and roll in a couple days.
Next question, Aaron Porcelain, The Athletic.
Yeah, Pierre-Luc, you had a lot more chances, I think, today as a team. Several lines had long shifts in the Tampa zone, but what's the level of offensive frustration right now in terms of not getting more behind Vasilevsky?
I think that as long as you're getting chances, you're doing something right. Obviously, getting chances, you're not scoring, you're losing games. You know, it's a little frustrating, but I think that you know, if we keep getting chances, if we keep getting pucks in the net, like Cam said, getting to the blue, you know, I like our odds to get a couple more goals.
We'll take a few more. Next, Dave Metzold.
Cam, obviously, next game you'll be in a do-or-die situation. How can you create a little bit more, knowing that if you don't, it's go home?
Yeah, I mean, you said it, do or die, right? You know, nothing we could do to solve that. You know, we just have to get the job done. Come out and you know, try to get the lead there. I think that's the most important. You know, like I keep saying, I think we played with a lot of confidence today, and you know, just didn't get any past him really. So we have to make it a little harder for him. But you know, you expect our best for next game.
We'll take 2 more. Brian, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, Pierre-Luc, you had that chance there in the third on Vasilevsky. When that puck leaves your stick, do you think that's going in the net? I mean, it looked like it was a pretty close one.
Yeah, I mean, when I shoot, especially on a breakaway, I think it's going in. But, I mean, it didn't. So you just got to move past that. And, I mean, I was trying to get us another one. after that miss, but it is what it is, and you move on to the next game now.
And our last question, Aaron Portzline, The Athletic.
Yeah, Cam, can you say what it was that kept you out of the last 2 games? Were you limited in any way today?
No.
I'll tell you what, Cam Atkinson was saying all the right things there, right? Just got to be ready to go next game. Saying all the right things. Saying them and doing them are 2 different things, but he did them in this game. And he needs to do them again. If he wants to save his team from elimination, he needs to do it again. Very simple. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it, right? They rely on him. He has scored 30 goals in the season. He's scored 40 goals in the season. He is a very important part of what goes on here. And when he's not effective, he's a big, important part of what doesn't go on. So that's the responsibility. And they need Cam Atkinson to be good again tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow at noon. It'll be afternoon by the time the puck drops. We're not going to do it at high noon. This isn't a shootout. I mean like a Wild West shootout, not a hockey shootout. You know what I'm saying. They need him. They need him badly. And they need the guys on the back end. Jonas Korpisalo was great again. Thought he was great. As I mentioned, the first goal got him in the blocker pad. He had a piece of it. He didn't have all of it. Second goal, redirect from right in front with no defenders to be seen. Not his fault. These things happen. And it sucks when they happen, but they happen. Okay? I thought he was really good again. Zach Werenski was all over the place. And because he was all over the place during the game, after the game, he was back in place to take questions from the media.
Hey, Zach, you guys seem to create a lot more offensively today. Lots of shifts prolonged in their zone, a goal taken off the board with the offside. What's the level of frustration, though, to not end up with more than one on the board, to not capitalize more on those?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough, especially with how we started. A great shift, get a goal, it gets taken back. I think we still have good shifts after that. Their goalie makes some saves, but, at the end of the day, we got to bear down on those. And, hopefully we can play with the lead next game and score early. And when we do that, I think we can kind of just let ourselves go and just play our game. I think when you kind of don't score for a while, things start to get a little frustrating. But we know we're capable of it, so we just have to continue to play our game, and goals will come.
Next question, Neil McHale, Inside Hockey.
Hey, questions for Zach. You guys have shown, resiliency, throughout this year, including the qualifying round with Toronto there. But how confident are you in the ability for this group to be able to turn the page and, essentially be able, have to be in a situation to win 3 straight?
Yeah, I mean, we've done this all year with injuries, with people counting us out. So, it's just that next game up mentality. We have to win the next one. We're not looking too far ahead. It's a series, and we're down 3-1, but it's just that next game on Wednesday at noon. We have to find a way to win that one, and then from there we go.
Please raise your hand if you have a question. Neil, do you have a follow-up?
No, I don't. Sorry about that.
If there are no more, we'll take a question from Aaron. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jonas, I'll ask you this one. It seemed like the energy level all across the board was better today. Could you feel that with yourself and all the way across the ice with you guys?
Yeah, I felt so. I mean, right from the bat, I think played a great game, high energy game. Throughout the 60 minutes, I think that was our most complete game this far in this series. Didn't give them too much, and, one goal game. It is what it is.
That one series where Korpisalo made the extra save on Tyler Johnson when he was already down and he had his pad down and he made the save on the ice, and then he kicked it up even further to rob Tyler Johnson. It was an incredible job. He's been incredible in these playoffs, let's be honest. Okay? Where would the Blue Jackets be without Jonas Korpisalo? Say what you want to. If you're an Elvis guy, that's fine. Guy or gal. It's only fair if I say that, right? This is about team, and this guy has been incredible. He has been the consummate teammate throughout all of this. Consummate teammate. But it just wasn't enough. He can't score goals, and that's a frustrating thing for a goalie. You could be playing lights out at one end, and if your team just can't get any past the other guy, then you lose. And it's sad but true. It's sad but true. Anyway, that was Zach Werenski and Jonas Corposalo. That means there's only one guy left to talk about what happened yesterday, and that is the head coach of your Columbus Blue Jackets, John Tortorella.
John, this might have been your best game of the series in terms of offensive creation of chances and such. You had lots of shifts in their zone. I think multiple lines took part in that. The goal taken off early. What's the level of frustration of not cashing in more with these, with the way you played today?
Well, we can't get frustrated. We're still in a series, and we improved in that area. We improved in our forechecking. We just got to get ready for our next game and we need to make a couple more big offensive plays to score some goals. And so there's no sense of being frustrated. We'll just get ready for our next game.
Next question, Brian, Columbus Dispatch.
Hey, John, looked like you guys did a little bit of better job of maybe getting to the blue, getting to the front of the net in this one. Cam scores that goal there. But are you guys getting there enough? Do you need to still work on that?
We need to work on everything, Hedge.
Next question, Neil McHale, Inside Hockey.
Hey, John. You have to be more impressed with their effort in this game than they were, on Game 3. But, how confident are you in this group's resiliency all through the playoffs and, obviously facing, a situation now where every game is going to be a must-win?
Yeah, you don't look too far ahead. I love our team. I like the way they have handled themselves through the whole time out here in the bubble. Certainly, we got some work to do, but we just got to look to tomorrow, and then we get ready for our next game. I think it's noon on Wednesday, and just get about our business. That's all you can do.
We'll go to Aaron again for a follow-up.
It's not for a lack of effort, certainly with Foligno, Jenner, and others, but how much more do you need offense from your leaders, the veteran players on this team?
More.
Well, of course, there's some classic torts in there, right? You just got to go play. The series isn't over. You're still alive. All true. There have been teams that have come back from being down 3-1. Is it hard? Of course it's hard. Is it impossible? No, it is not impossible. You just need to win one. Just one. Talked about this time and time and time and time again. The way that John Tortorella has the mentality of his team, he hammers it into them from day one. One game at a time. One game at a time. One game at a time. Media gets sick of hearing it. One game at a time. We're just taking it today. We're not worried about what's going to happen 2 days from now. Nobody likes to write about that or report on that because it's boring. But it's true. I would rather have the truth than something sensationalized, personally. We're not talking about what I want personally. But we could talk about what I want personally because I want the Blue Jackets to win. I want to keep working. I want to keep going to the rink. I want to keep watching these guys play. Same as you. You want to keep watching them play. You want to root for them. You want to be excited. You want there to be a chance to achieve the Holy Grail. That's what we all want. And that's what the players want. The only difference is I don't get to decide it. You don't get to decide it. The players will decide it. And in all honesty, the Tampa Bay Lightning players are deciding more than the Columbus Blue Jackets players are in the last 2 games. They're deciding how to play. They're deciding how much effort they're going to put in. They're deciding the outcome based on their play. So kudos to them. I think what I can say without question now, we talked about the fact that this Lightning team is made up a little bit differently from last year's team. It's not a little bit. It's a lot, actually. And it's a lot when you look at the third line. When you look at Yanni Gourde, Blake Coleman, and Barclay Goodrow, that line has gotten a ton of time in this series. It has been a difference-making line, whether they're scoring goals or they are not. They are making a difference when they're on the ice. That's why they're getting all the time they are. I mean, you don't put guys out that are ineffective, do you? You don't put guys out that aren't getting the job done. You got to go with the guys that are getting it done. And they're getting it done better than some of their other guys. Some of their other guys that pop into your mind immediately when you think about the Tampa Bay Lightning, when you think about their offense, when you think about how tough they are to defend. Yet, I'm thinking of these guys. And you probably are too if you've been watching the games. They have been that good. Andrei Vasilevsky, has he played out of his mind? I don't think so. Have the Blue Jackets tested him enough? I don't think so. At times in spurts, but overall, no. Are they going to rectify that? What if they do? If they do, they've got a great chance to continue to play beyond tomorrow afternoon. What if they don't? They'll be out of the bubble. Simply out of the bubble. That's where they are right now. They've been in these spots before, whether it's regular season games or, last year they had that great win against Tampa. They didn't have to face the adversity until they got into the second round against Boston. And they're facing adversity right now. They had to play a 5-game series. Nobody else did. 2 of those 5 games went to overtime. They got no rest before the next series. It started less than 48 hours after the first one ended. They didn't whine. They didn't cry. They didn't stomp their feet. They played. And they continue to play. But they need better performances out of more people. There were some lineup changes yesterday. Atkinson comes back in. That made an impact. The other one was, and he came back in for, let's say he takes Emil Bemstrom's spot because he's a winger. Winger for winger. And Kevin Stenlund was in the lineup in place of Devin Shore. They did fine. I mean, well, Cam did more than fine. He scored, okay? Kevin Stenlund was fine, did some good things. I mean, look, if a fourth-line centerman turns the tide of the game, it must be a special game. And I don't mean that in any way to disrespect Kevin Stenlund, who I like and respect as a hockey player. But you can have fourth-line heroes in games like this. But what you really need is your top guys to play like your top guys. And again, the Blue Jackets are missing that element. And they need it. They now desperately need it. As their backs are against the wall, it's lose and go home. It's win and stay in. And if you can just win one at a time, just one, because you have to win 3. You cannot win 3 games in one day. Can't do it. There are no triple headers in hockey. You might play enough overtimes to feel like one, but there are no triple headers. You can't win 3 in a day. You can only win 1. So concentrate on the 1. Win the 1. And if you do win the 1, you will get the pleasure of coming back 2 days later, or more than 2 or less than 2, who knows. You will get the pleasure to come back and try to win another one. But you've got to get your business taken care of first. And that's what the Blue Jackets will look to do tomorrow at lunchtime. Get their house in order and make sure this series continues. CBJin30 is presented to you by Telhio Credit Union. At Telhio, they have been putting people first, people ahead of profits, people number 1 on the depth chart. They don't even look to number 2. They look at number 1, people, parentheses, customers. Number 1. It's not something they have to concentrate on. It just happens. You know why it happens that way? Because they have done it since 1934. It didn't start this last week or the week before. 1934. Long time. And they can help you. In fact, you should be saying to yourself right now, why do I need a regular bank when right here is a credit union that'll put me first? Maybe you're not sure about a credit union. What do they have at Telhio? Why should I uproot my finances and go somewhere else? All the answers are right at your fingertips. Telhio.org. That's where you go. Surf around the website, find the answers to your questions. If you can't find the answers, click on the live chat option during regular business hours. It is literally that simple. If you want to start being put first, if you want to be at the top of the list, if you want to be your own number 1 overall pick, then you need to look into joining Telhio Credit Union. Again, find them online at telhio.org. So it is a matinee for the Blue Jackets again tomorrow. Lunchtime, as a matter of fact. I mean, they're playing 3 o'clock games, 2 3 o'clock games, finally get a 7:30 game, back to a 3 o'clock game, and now they're going to play at noon. Is what it is. They give you a schedule, you play it. And if you think the Blue Jackets will not have enough energy to play at noon tomorrow, then I would say if that were the case, they have to really all assess their professional hockey lives. Because whatever you have in the tank, whatever it is, you waited 4.5 months to return to an abbreviated training camp to get the privilege of going into the Eastern Conference bubble in Toronto. Privilege. You want to stay in that bubble? How important is it to you? Well, it should be important enough to lay it all on the line. When that game ends at 2:38 tomorrow afternoon or whatever time it ends, roughly, it's about 2 hours and 38 minutes, but whatever. When it ends, if you can honestly look at yourself and say, I gave it all. If you can honestly look at your teammate and say, they gave it all. If you can do those two things, the score doesn't matter. The only thing the score will decide is whether you stay or whether you go. But it's those two things, or that one thing for you personally, that will define you. And it will define the next number of months until you get a chance to come back to training camp. Because if you didn't give everything you had, you'll be haunted for the next couple of months. If you have any feeling and any sense of team, you'll be haunted for months until you get a chance to play again. If it doesn't matter, or if you don't give enough and you're not bothered by that, then that is something that'll show itself too. Talked to Jarmo Kekalainen the other day about character, about the players that you sign, the players that either you draft or you sign as free agents. I don't care how you get them. What's most important? Well, skill. Skill's important. If you can't play, you can't play. But if you can play and you don't have the right attitude about it, what's the sense in playing? So my advice to any Blue Jacket watching this in the bubble is advice I don't need to give, because they've already thought it. They're already preparing themselves. They're already ready to step on the ice. But in any case, the advice would be just bring it. It's your last chance this year. But if you don't bring it, you'll be waiting for a long time until next year. It's one game. Win 3 periods of hockey, no matter what it takes. And if you do that, we'll be talking about this again for another couple of days, when you will be expected to do it again. But that is when it really gets fun. Tomorrow, puck drops at noon. Pre-game coverage starts at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning on the Blue Jackets radio network. So get a break, rest, because that game is going to be here before you know it. Almost before we can all blink, it will be here. The 5th game of this series, the Blue Jackets and the Tampa Bay Lightning. An elimination game. Blue Jackets will need to win to stay alive. And I will have much more about that for you tomorrow. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in to CBJin30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Until tomorrow, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.